똑같이 미국에서 식당에 들어가면 they always say how many of you are there? That's how they ask that question. 몇 분이세요? They say how many of you are there? And then 일행 in this case is party. So they would say how many in your party? So party도 정말 많은 뜻 가지고 있는 것 같아요. Right? How many in your party? How many of you are there? Like that. Okay, any questions on that? Alright, so if the question is, how many of you live here? Just the three of us. Molly, the dog, and I. Okay? Now, you know a lot of people in English, 자기 자신을 나열할 때 명단의 마지막으로 들어가야 돼. So you say him, her, and I, right? We would also, but you're supposed to say Dan, Martin, and I, like that. Okay? But a lot of times people use me, and a lot of times they put me at the beginning, right? Like me and him, me and her. 그거 문법적으로 틀렸어요. 근데 말 습관 그렇게 됐어요. So 그렇게 말하는 사람 많아요. 근데 글 쓸 때 그렇게 안 쓰시는 게 나아요. Okay? So when you talk, a lot of people say, who's going? Dan and me, Michael and me. But that's grammatically wrong, right? Because when you say, 나 가요, 나도 가요. You don't say, me is going, right? You don't say, me going. You say, I am going. So it's wrong. But a lot of people say it that way, okay? So when you speak, it's no big deal if you use me in that case, because everybody else talks that way. But when you write something, make sure that you say, and I, okay? Alright, good. Hold on, Oliver. So, for number 6, in the first place, 계기 물어볼 때 이 표현 쓰시면 됩니다. Okay, so how did you come to be interested in Korea in the first place? Okay, 어떤 계기로 한국에 대한 관심 갖게 됐는지 영어로 물어보고 싶으면 이렇게 쓰시면 돼요. How did you come to be interested in Korea in the first place? Or how did you get interested in Korea? 그것도 돼요. How did you get interested in Korea in the first place? Okay, come이라고 하면은 조금 더 격식 차리는 그런 말투이고 get는 조금 더 일상적으로 쓰는 말이고. Okay, how did you get interested in Korea like that in the first place? So in the first place, 맨 처음으로. So let's look at the example sentence. How did you get started learning calligraphy in the first place? So 어떤 계기로 서예 배우게 됐어요? So how did you get interested? How did you start learning calligraphy in the first place? Has anybody here ever taken 서예? 서예, have you?
I did.
서예 at a 학원?
No. When I was in elementary school.
Just at school?
Yeah.
붓글씨? Yeah. So, yeah, me too. I mean, I took it, but I was really bad at it. I went to 서예 학원. But all the other students were, you know, elementary school students, and then I was the only adult. So, yeah, they were all better than me too. So, it was difficult for me with my pride. 최면 때문에. No, those kids were really good because it was 한자, you know, 한자, and then also 서예. And yeah, those kids are really good at memorizing 한자 too. So they would always do really well on the test, and it was hard for me. So. But anyway, I got to 5급. 5급까지는 했어. And my plan is someday I want to get to 1급. 근데 지금 다른 일로 너무 바빠요. 근데 나중에 조만간. So, how do you say 조만간 in English? Anybody know? 예, 한국어하고 똑같네. 이걸로. That works too. We usually say sooner or later. Okay, so 그 한자 보면은 sooner 조만간이잖아. 일을 늦을 이렇게 조만간 그 사이에. So sooner or later, it's exactly the same as 조만간. Sooner or later, I want to learn 한자 to level 1, but yeah, maybe later when I have time. Okay, let's move on to number 7. So 치고는, okay, for a 뭐뭐. So 외국인치고는 한국어 정말 잘한다. Okay, that would be he speaks English really well for a foreigner. 이것도 그 사람 얘기하고 그 다음에 무슨 부류 밑에 속하는지 얘기하는 거예요. 그 아까 배운 표현이랑 비슷한. Okay, so he's really good at English for a Korean. But like I said, if you say he's really good at English or he's really good at English for a Korean, which is a better compliment? Yeah, he's really good at English. That's much better, right? And it's the same with Korean. Like, oh, 말 주변이 정말 뛰어나네요. 정말 대단해요. Then you would say he's really eloquent, right? He's really eloquent. But if you said he's really eloquent for an American speaking Korean, that's a lot lower than he's really eloquent. There's a big difference between the two, right? Alright. And then let's say you talk about the price. Like you use this a lot with price too, right? So for considering this coffee only costs 500원, it's really good, right? 500원짜리 치고는 정말 맛있어요. Then you would say for a 500won coffee, this is really good, right? Alright. So the example sentence, this novel is outstanding for a first effort. Okay, 첫 번째 시도, 첫 시도 치고는 정말 뛰어나네요, 이 소설. Okay, let's look at number 8, to get somewhere. Okay, so come, 물론 과거형 came인데 우리 말할 때 그렇게 많이 안 쓰는 말입니다. We don't say when did you come here, 많이 안 써요. 보통 when did you get here, 훨씬 더 많이 써요. So for example, 나 15분 전에 왔어요. We don't normally say I came here 15 minutes ago. 왠지 좀 어색해요. We say I got here 15 minutes ago. When did you get here? Okay? 진짜 물어볼 때 when did you come here 잘 안 써요. Okay? Especially about a meeting like this. Okay? 조금 더 장기적으로 어디 갔을 때 그럴 때는 came, come 써도 돼요. So for example, when did you come to Korea? Let's say, you know, someone's lived here for a year or 2 years. Then when did you come to Korea? 그럴 경우에는 괜찮아요. But if we just talk about, like, I met my friend at Starbucks and he's already sitting there and I get there 5 minutes later, I wouldn't say when did you come here? I'd say when did you get here? Okay? 의미는 비슷해요. Alright, so how long have you two been here? We got here about 30 minutes ago. Alright, let's look at number 9. Ahead of time, beforehand. 그리고 또 비슷한 표현 하나 있는데 뭘까요? Yeah, in advance, right? In advance도 돼요. Okay. So, ahead of time, beforehand 그냥 부사라고 생각하시면 돼요. Alright, so like it says here, 부하 직원이 발표날 훨씬 전부터 꾸준히 미리 준비했어야 하는데 안에서 질책할 때 you should have prepared for this ahead of time, right? You should have been preparing for this since last year, right? We can use that that been preparing, been plus ing. We use that in this case too. Alright, so you should have prepared for this ahead of time. You should have researched this ahead of time. Alright, so in that case, 질책하다. What do you think how can we say 질책하다 in English?
Scold.
Scold is good, yeah, 야단치다, 질책하다. Scold an employee or a subordinate for not doing their duties, right? We can also say reproach. That's a little more formal.
How to spell it?
It's like re plus approach. Like approach 할 때 그거랑 똑같아요. Okay. And then also scold. Yeah. And that's probably what we use most often. We can say 그냥 한마디 해야 되겠다 할 때 we say I'll have to have a little talk with him 많이 써요. Okay. I'll have to have a little talk with him.
You can say, I have a word.
Yeah. But that's not necessarily bad. That could be good or bad. Like, may I have a word with you? I'd like to have a word with you. That could be good or bad. But I'll have to have a little talk with him. The nuance of this is not positive. Okay. Or I'll give him a talking to. We also say he needs a talking to. 이거 한 명사 돼버린 거예요. So we say I'll give him a talking to. 이거 한 명사라고 생각하시면 돼요. 네, 혼내줘야 돼요. 네, I'll give him a talking to. Okay, now 당하는 쪽에서 봤을 때 he got in trouble 하죠. But we don't usually say he got in big trouble about adults. Okay, adults don't usually say he got in trouble. 좀 웃기게 말하고 싶으면 쓰기는 하는데 okay, 성인에 대해서 얘기할 때 he got into trouble, he got in big trouble 이라고 안 쓰는 것 같아요. Okay. Alright, let's look at the next one. Number 10, so 격주로, okay, once every 2 weeks or once every other week. So there's two ways of saying this in English. You can say every other month, or you can say once every 2 months, right? Every other year, or once every 2 years. Those are the two ways you can say it. So, for example, let's say, like the example sentence here, 매년 고향까지 가서 설날 못 보내고 정년으로 간다면, it would say, I head home for Lunar New Year's every other year. Or, you could say, I head home for Lunar New Year's once every 2 years. Those are your two options. Okay, so 우리 매주 만나지만 그냥 뭐 격주로 만난다고 쳐요. And you would say, we meet once every 2 weeks. Or you could say, we meet once every other week. Okay?
Can I say bi-weekly?
Bi-weekly is okay too. The problem, then there's biannually. The problem is that 그거 좀 애매해. Okay? Because it could mean 2 times in a year, or it could mean once every 2 years. If you say biannually. 좀 애매해요. Biannually. But bi-monthly is okay. Yeah, because I think if you say bi-monthly, people will probably assume that means twice per month. 근데 그 표현이 좀 애매하기 때문에 우리 보통 이거 더 많이 써요. Every other or whatever. Yeah, if you look up biannual in the dictionary, it'll say 1년 2번 하는 거일 수도 있고 2년에 한 번씩 하는 거일 수도 있어요. So we have to be careful about that. Okay. All right. Any questions? So the history lecture is held every other week in downtown Seoul. And then the next example sentence, from now on, I won't be able to make it to every class, but I think I can manage every other class. So in this case, manage, 힘들게, right? 간신히 갈 수 있을 것 같아요. 힘들지만 참석하도록 할게요. But 어감은 정말 힘들다는 어감이죠. So manage. But if you just look at what's written here, but I think I can manage every other class, that means 격주로 그 수업을 운영할 수 있을 것 같아요. Right? 그런 것 같아요. So this is another meaning of manage. Not 운영하다, not 경영하다, but 그냥 해내다, 힘들게 하다. Okay, so manage. I couldn't manage to finish my homework, right? He managed to finish the film by the deadline. Okay, she managed to finish the film by the deadline, like that. And then from now on, 지금부터. Okay, and 지금까지, what was 여태? 여태까지. Anybody remember? So far, right. So far, and 지금부터 is from now on. Alright, any questions?
How long have we to do here is 얼마나 오랫동안 기다렸냐?
Right. 언제부터 있었어요? 그러니까 그리고 너희 둘이, right? You two. So we use you two, you three. We use that a lot in English. Okay, you three need to do this. You two. How long have you two been here? So like I was explaining, in English we don't normally say when did you two come here. We would either use been, how long have you been here, or when did you get here? Okay. All right. Good.